Welcome to our custom space where dreams take flight. Where positive visions come to life.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. And this is just going to be a quick bloom video, hopefully. But the reason why is those of you that follow the channel probably saw this beautiful candy apple blossom red that I did in a recent frog. And I just thought, can I get it in a bloom? So that's what this is going to be about. I've already mixed the resin. I'm using T-Expert for this. We're at 33 degrees. I want it to get to 36, so we're not far off. Now, I got the Candy Apple Blossom Red from Laura's Art Corner. Check her out, laurasartcorner.net. But she also sent me some Lorez White. And I've not tried that in a bloom, so I'm going to try that in a bloom. And she sent me some Gold Fusion. So I'm going to try that, and I'm going to do a centre on this one. I know some of you don't like the centres. I personally think they can look really good in the right bloom, and they can also hide any blobbing in the center. So they're quite useful for that. But you know me, I don't want to just use one thing in that center. I want to use a couple. So I've got this dark midnight sky glitter, and I've also got this gorgeous blueberry sparkle. I'm going to mix those with some of that Gold Fusion just for the center. So I've mixed up just under 6 ounces of resin here, and I know that I'm only going to need 4.5 to 5 for this, but I'm still trying to fill this drip mold. So hopefully any spares can just go in there, and we can hopefully fill that drip mold as well. So if you're new to blooms, it's all about temperature. Now for this T-Expert resin, it's more of a medium viscosity resin. And I want this to get to about 36 degrees before I start to pour. And that tends to work for me. And then it's about how thick you mix your micas, your pigments, or things like that as to how many blobs you get. And sometimes it takes a few attempts. Not every one of my blooms works, but some do. And the ones that do tend to work out pretty well. So all I'm going to do first is put a couple of scoops of this Gold Fusion, 1 scoop of each of these glitters in one of these pots, ready for a center. And where's my mica scoops when I need them? And I'm going to use the bigger scoops for this. So just these standard plastic ones will be fine. And this is quite heavy, so I know it's going to sink to the bottom. And if you look, it's almost like little gold particles, and it feels like metal. So I don't know what it actually is, but look at it. It looks and feels like little chunks of gold, and I'm sure it's not real gold. Otherwise, it'd be a lot more expensive than what it is. Now I'm going to just do a scoop of each of these glitters. So this is that blueberry sparkle, which is absolutely gorgeous. And again, just a tiny bit in there. 1 scoop. And then to add an element of darkness to the center, I'm going to add some of this fancy midnight sky as well. And again, just the same, 1 scoop. It's a slightly bigger glitter as well. Look at that. But it's almost a dark, blacky purple. And that's all I'm going to do for my center. And I'm probably not even going to use it all. But that should be enough. That's all I'm going to do is just mix it around together. And we should see what effect we're going to get. And look at that. I think it looks pretty cool. I am going to add a tiny bit of this resin to this, because all I want is for this to be a paste. And as long as it's a paste, it'll work. So I'm just going to mix it round, all of it. And hopefully that'll create a cool little center for the center of the bloom. I'm liking the way that looks. And I don't know if it'll go with this red and white that I'm going to pipe in, but I am going to pipe it in, because I want to pipe the petals, and you'll have to ignore Reggie's tap dancing in the background again. Unfortunately, there's some things I can control. There we go. We're at 36.7, so we're good to go anyway. So I'm just going to pour and pretty much fill these cups, I think, because anything spare I can put into my drip mold. And I love these colours anyway. And with this Lorez pigment paste, I haven't used it before, so I still want to get it to the right consistency. I don't want it to be too thick and too opaque. I'm just putting enough in here, hopefully to pretty much half fill it. And then the rest is going to be piped in, and it should leave enough space for us to put a back on afterwards. Now, whenever you're doing this, always scrape your cup, because there's about half an ounce usually left in there. And I have just noticed some glitter in there, which I'm going to have to remove now. And I don't even know where it's come from. But there we go. Not a big issue. I'm just going to get one of my silicone tools and take it out. I don't know where that's come from, unless I spilt a little bit of glitter on me. But I don't want it in the resin until I put it in the resin, thank you. And here we go. And if you're new to the channel, do me a favour, like and subscribe. I'm going to put the QR code there, so if you're watching on your phone, point your camera at the TV and click subscribe. It's completely free, but what it does is it helps the channel grow. If you do want to contribute, I've had a few people ask how they can help the channel out. The memberships are also open, so feel free to join that for the cost of a coffee. It's just a great way of supporting us, and it lets me know that you're liking what I'm doing. And then you get entered into that free monthly prize draw to win a piece of my art wherever you are in the world. I'll ship it out to you if you win. And I think that's most of those. But I don't even know where that glitter came from, guys. It was just like a mystery glitter appearance. So there we go. And I can just spot one more there. But it's worth taking the time now so that you don't ruin any finish that you get on your finished piece. But all the time this is warming up, so I do need to get a shifty on. And I think that's perfect for the amount of resin in there. So I'm just going to wipe my tool. Then I'm going to do the Resin first, because as I say, I haven't used this pigment paste before. It looks really white, which is good. And I am going to use a popsicle stick this time. It's quite a thick one, but I'm going to mix it round. So it mixes around whatever. And I'm not going to need anywhere near what's on this stick. It'll be far too opaque. So I'm literally going to scrape off everything off that stick. And whatever's left, which is a tiny, tiny amount, I think will be enough to give me an opaqueness. Look at that. I've literally scraped everything off. And now that can go in there. And hopefully that'll be enough. I'm going to leave this out just in case. Because once you've done a few blooms, you get to know the consistency you're looking for. And it's just under opaque. So you want it like skimmed milk. And I'm just judging this as I'm stirring it. And there's obviously still pigment paste on the end of this, which is making it more difficult. And I can feel it heating up. But I think that's about there. So I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is just wipe this stick, so there's no more pigment going in there. And then just carry on stirring it through so it's fully mixed. Look at that. And that, for me, is about the right consistency. I can still see through to the stick. And hopefully it'll create some nice petals. I don't know at this point, because I've never used it before. So that's colour number one, which is that white. And I'm going to pipe both of these in, so that hopefully, and what I'm going to do with this cup afterwards is, look, just tip it in there so any excess resin can be dripping out whilst I'm getting on with the project. So that's one colour. Now the next one is the real reason probably behind me doing this project. I wasn't going to do another bloom for a little while, but I just wanted to see if I could get this amazing candy apple red in a bloom. So again, I'm going to go reasonably thick. I want a heaped scoop, I think. Touch more, so that's a scoop and a half. But wait till I stir this one. You will be amazed. So I'm just getting the piping bag ready as well. But all the time, that resin's still heating up. So let's mix it through. And this doesn't go pink, guys. I don't know what's in it. It stays that beautiful, almost metallic, chromy red. And it's beautiful and dark and deep. And absolutely stunning. If I can get this to bloom along with that white, look at it. It is absolutely amazing. And it was just seeing this in that frog, I thought, you know what? I love my blooms. I need to see if I can get this into a bloom. So before, well, in fact, let's just pour that straight in. So there we go. These are the two colours that I'm going to be using for this bloom. Mainly going to be the white and the red. There's going to be a tiny bit of blue as well in this glitter. I just thought of that. So it's kind of red, white and blue, like a Union Jack, or I also know it's the USA's colours as well. So first things first, I want to get some of this in that centre. Not too much, but just to give it time to sink down before I start piping my bloom. If it will sink. And it is sinking, but slowly. One more blob. And I shouldn't use that word when I'm doing a bloom, so I apologise. And then I'm just going to mix it around. And wherever that settles now, I think will do for the centre. And again, first time I've used that, so we will see. Now, all I'm going to do now is just torch the surface. I'm not going to use any alcohol inks for this because I don't want any alcohol inks. That one should have emptied itself now. So that's that white. So now I'm just going to tip up that red in there as well. And that can be emptying in the drip pot at the same time. And I'll do the same with this mixture as well. But I want to get this done. And I'm going to start off this time, I think, with the white. Just going to torch it again, get rid of any of those bubbles that have come from that glitter mix that have come in, because I want this to work out. So let's get these two ready to be piped. And let me know, do you think this is going to work, or do you think I'm going to have a disaster on my hands? Normally I only half fill these pots as well, but as I say, I wanted a little bit extra to just fill that drip mould with. And I'm going to have enough, I think. But normally I only fill these pots halfway when I pipe, and these are slightly overfilled for my liking. But all you do is you push your resin down, give it a good twist, make sure it doesn't come out the back when you're doing this, because otherwise you'll get resin coming out your back, which nobody wants. And you'll see there's a little air bubble there. I just like to snip about halfway. And then we're just going to go for the spiral technique again, because it is my favourite in a bloom. So here we go. There we go, and that's coming out nicely. I just want to make sure that it's the right thickness. I could do with it being a little bit thicker, actually. And again, this is hard to explain, but you just get used to it when you do blooms as to what thickness you want. And here we go. Should take almost no pressure. I'm leaving deliberately a little line in between. And that's what I'm going to come back and put this candy apple red in. Hopefully. And this is a homemade mould, which is a crystal edge mould, which took me 7 attempts to make, but I'm really happy with it now. And again, I just thought it was a fun part of resin that I hadn't tried. And I think that'll do. So that's my white. And again, I'm going to pour this into the drip mould in a minute. And now for the red, this beautiful candy apple blossom red. And genuinely, it's the nicest red I have found yet. Then the question is going to be, in about 4 or 5 hours, if I back it or not. There we go, that's flowing beautifully as well. So, here we go. And as I say, when you put those centres in, if you are going to get the dreaded B word, it kind of helps prevent it. Sometimes it spreads through, but I really wanted to just see if I could get this beautiful colour in a bloom. And I'm probably being a bit risky here by using Resin as well, which is a white pigment paste that I've never used for these petals. And then I'm going to go all the way around this edge. Hopefully avoiding touching. There we go. So that is my main colours. Simple as that. Now, before I start filling up this drip mould with the rest of it, which I will do, I just want to put in these petals so it can hopefully bloom. And I'm just going to do the standard one, I think, where I'm going to go in like so. And I don't know, do you think this is going to bloom? And do you think it's going to work? That is the question. With resin, one thing's guaranteed, and that's that nothing is guaranteed. It does what it wants. All you can do is keep trying. It's almost like a peppermint colour scheme. I absolutely love this. If this blooms, it's going to be stunning. And you know what? For this one, I'm just going to pull the top 2 bits out like this. I just think it will give us a slightly different effect at the end, at the tip. But I actually like the rounded petals. So that's all I'm doing, is just pulling this through. I don't want to pull it all through, and you'll have to ignore any background noise. I've got my daughters this weekend, and I've got Reggie in the background, all making a bit of noise because they've seen I've started to film. There we go. And that's it. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to torch it. I'm not going to do anything with that bloom whatsoever, apart from let it do its thing and let the resin do its thing. However, I have still got this to fill. So any clear I've got left is going to go in first. And we're just going to whack it in. That's the beauty of a drip mold. It doesn't matter how you do it, you just fill it. Once it's full, you get to demold it and see what you've got. And it stops you having to waste any of that beautiful resin. So here we go. Here's the rest of that glitter mixture. Want to use that in there as well. Ideally close to the edge so that we can get to see a little bit of it. But I'm also being conscious here that I don't want to drip any more of it into my bloom. And again, it should just give us a tiny bit of an interesting effect. Not a lot. I'm just going to push it to the sides a little bit as well. So that as I pour the rest of these resins in, it should carry on pushing it out to the sides, is the plan. And I'm just going to layer this, I think. So I'm going to start with the white and then go in with some red. And carry on doing that until I've used up all my resin. And hope we get a cool effect. Here we go. And I don't think this will fill it, but it'll add another couple of cool layers in this drip mold. And let me know, do you think this bloom's going to work? I'm 50-50 at this point. And I think I'm going to go with a black back on this, but not any black back. I'm going to give it a black glitter back, I think. There we go. And then the rest of this red can just go straight in here. And the only reason I'm showing you this part, normally I don't show anybody this, but this is how I make my drip molds. Simple as this. Using up all of my spare resin, and normally over 2 or 3 blooms, you will actually be able to fill one of these drip molds. And it just means you're not wasting anything, especially when you're using these cool pigments and cool colors. You know, you want to make sure that you're utilizing every single drop of resin. And let's face it, resin's expensive. So that's it. I'm going to leave it now. In fact, I've got one more drop in my clear. I can just go in the center. And then that's it. I'm going to leave this for a few hours, come back. What time are we on now? So it's 7:30. I'm going to come back at 11:30 tonight, just for you guys, and put it back on this so that we can demold it tomorrow. See you then. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel, and check out Laura's Art Corner at laurasartcorner.net. I'll see you at demold. Hey everyone, and we're back, and it's looking like it's bloomed. I'm really happy with the way it's looking at the minute. I'm going to zoom you in because it's probably the last chance you'll get to see this, but that looks stunning from this side. So I'm hoping we've got a good result on the other side, but I won't know until tomorrow. But I did want to put a back on this, and this has been sat for about 20 minutes, so I'm hoping it doesn't impact the pour. But all I've done is mixed up 2 ounces of resin, and I thought, you know what? I've used all of Laura's Art Corner's products so far. I'm going to continue with the back, and I want it to be dark, but I want it to have a bit of a sparkle as well. So I'm going to be using a combination. So this is the blue violet chameleon pigment. I'm going to use a scoop full of this in this. And look at that. That is beautiful. And I think that should be quite a dark colour. And I'm just going to put a level scoop in that cup, maybe 2. Let's go all out. Because I can always fill up, hopefully, that drip mould if I've got any spare. So there's, look at that. I love doing that with chameleons. You get to see the true colour and the beauty. But then, do you know what? It came up on the Froggy video that we want red, white and blue as well. So I know that's popular in the States and it's also popular in the UK. So it's going to have a bit of this beautiful blueberry glitter as well, which I've already put in a frog and I love the colour, which is that blueberry sparkle. And look at that sparkle. She's not kidding when they call it blueberry sparkle. It's like a disco in there. And then I love gold, and gold and red and white will always go together. So I've picked out one of the glitters, which I'm now getting all over my gloves. So you can see that lovely sparkle, which is Fantasy Sandcastle. And I'm not going to go overboard with this. I'm just going to put 1 scoop in there. And there's a good mix of different sizes and shapes of glitter in there. And that's it. And then I'm going to mix it together and have a look at the colour. So here we go. And hopefully we'll get a darkish background, which is still predominantly blue. I want it to still be predominantly blue, with that chameleon mica popping through as well. And I'm just mixing it all around. As I say, this is already starting to thicken up, but look at this. Hello. So I love that colour. And I think that'll make a beautiful back. So I'm just going to go and pour it straight in. Whatever happens now, happens. And I don't think I need it any darker than that. If I'm looking in that cup and I get anything like that, that is almost a galaxy. Look at that. And that is just using those 3 different items. Again, if you want anything from Laura's Art Corner as well, she's just given me a code so you guys can get some money off. So if you put CCUK in, it should work. If that doesn't work, try CCUK 10% and it should get you 10% off. But I will confirm with her before the next video what that code is, and I'll put it in the description before this goes live. But I think it's just going to be CCUK. That's the code I use for everything, and it will get you 10% off these products, which is amazing. And she does ship worldwide, so remember that. Here we go. Who's ready for this? I know I am before bed. Beautiful. And it's actually 11 o'clock at night. And I think I've timed it perfectly for this. I didn't let it undercure like last time. And I think that should just about do it. Look at that. Oh, I'm happy with that as a colour. Beautiful. And now I'm just going to pour the rest straight into my drip mould at the side. And it will just add to that drip mould as well. But look at that. In fact, I could probably add a touch more in there. But that's the great thing. You don't have to completely fill your moulds either, guys. You know, you don't have to do that. And now I'm just going to scrape this because I really don't want to waste any of this. Look at it in the drip mould. Holy moly. And that's just combining those 3 different items together. And you know me, I like to mix and match. I don't like to just use one thing the way it should be, because I like to be a bit more creative than that and come up with things that maybe people haven't done before. Maybe they have, but it's part of the fun. So do me a favour as well. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But I'm really happy with the way that this is looking. I think it's going to be a gorgeous coaster, providing that bloom's work. But look at that on the end of that stick. Absolutely stunning. So now all I need to do is let it cure, and it should be cured this time tomorrow so we can demold. So I appreciate you being here. Do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. QR code's there if you're watching on the telly. And if you can, join membership. It's a great way to support the channel. For the price of a coffee, it lets me keep trying new products so that you get to see them first, and so that you can see how I use them and possibly get some inspiration. So join membership as well if you can. All you need to do, there's a link in description, it should be near the top, that says click this link to join membership. And you also get entered into my free monthly prize draw where somebody wins a piece of my art wherever they are in the world, posted out to you. So appreciate everyone watching this, and we'll be back for demold. Hi everyone, and we are back and it's the next day, and I'm really excited because these three different items, the Blueberry Sparkle, Fancy Sandcastle and Blue Violet. So, as you probably heard there, my phone went off and for some reason I forgot to push record, but I didn't want you to miss out on this, but I have demolded it and look at that back. That is just stunning with those three different elements put together. And I'm loving this. And actually, wait till you see the candy apple blossom on the front. It turned out stunning. Now, it did turn out a little bit deeper than what I thought. Probably because of the way that I mixed the mica. But I actually really like the 3D effect that it gave. And I think it's almost like the petals of Resin and they're touching the surface. But I'll be intrigued to find out what you guys think. But I love it. You know, it came out perfect. Well, not perfect, a little bit heavy, but I'm glad it did because I think it just gave it a really special 3D effect that I liked. So I'm going to get you all some close-ups, but I just didn't want you to miss out on the end of this, and I'll see you all soon.
Welcome to our custom space where dreams take flight. Epoxy visions coming to life. It's a perfect sight. We born together, blooming three, resin family. Testing my guts, new creations. We set the free. Join our journey, like and subscribe. This is our place. Ocean seas to dragons and blooms. We carve with grace. Welcome to custom carving, where dreams come true. Epoxy magic flowing just for me and you. Masterpieces rising, crafted with our hands. Testing new colors.